Today we're going to talk about 5 life lessons learned from the first 100 episodes of 52 Weeks of Hope. So first, I'm going to talk about how this podcast came about in case you don't know. I didn't intend to start a podcast. I had never been a podcaster before. You want to talk imposter syndrome? The only podcast I really listened to was Brene Brown. Yeah, I was way too busy to do that. So I went through the dark night of the soul, like I always talk about in the intro. And when I got through it, because the only way through is through, I was like, what the hell was that? And I went on a quest, a soul search, where I asked a person a week. I decided I was going to. I was on a hike with a friend. I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to go and ask a person a week for a year, why are we here? Quest, if you will. And I did. I started doing that. A much older demographic where I was like, tell me, I want to know. At first, it was just for me, my own personal journey. And I would go home and write up what I had learned, and first sending it to my friend, Michelle, my best friend, and my own verbiage. And in fact, 4 of the chapters, because this started out, it was so rich and so good, I was like, I have to write a book. I can't keep this to myself. I'll call it 52 Weeks of Hope. And one of those books where you open it up and you're like, that's just what I needed to hear. Or you close it and you randomly open it again. You're like, no, that's what I needed to hear. When COVID hit, I pivoted, because that's what we do in life. We pivot. And I started podcasting. And when I first started podcasting, this will be one of the first lessons, is about imposter syndrome. And I've done whole episodes. Episode 85 is the most recent episode I did on imposter syndrome. I've written articles now on it. There's a quiz on the website on imposter syndrome, which I don't think anyone who has it needs to take a quiz. You know when you have imposter syndrome, when you feel like a fake or a fraud, or you're going to get found out. And that was my whole thing, is I'm going to get found out. I can remember being on Zooms as a lawyer, those kind of Zooms, or actually any kind of Zoom, and seeing all the little boxes. And you can tell when you're on a Zoom when people are on their phones and things like that. And I saw 2 people, I just remember it so clearly. And I'm sure you've had these experiences where, well, you might not have had this particular one, but I saw 2 people clearly on their phone, and all of a sudden I thought, they're talking about me. They found out I have a podcast, and they're talking to each other, and they're saying, did you hear? Lauren has a podcast. Who does she think she is, having a podcast? She does. Anyway, I just, in my head, it just started going. And I don't know when I became that self-centered that I thought people were talking about me on a Zoom, but my head started going, and I started thinking people were talking about me. And that's imposter syndrome at its finest. And I'm sure they weren't talking about me. Now, this is back when I started, and now I don't care. I just don't even care. But at the time, I was just consumed with, what are people going to think? They're all going to be talking about me. Who does she think she is? Starting a podcast and all of that stuff. So that is imposter syndrome at its worst, at its best. I don't really know what to call it, but I do know that I am certainly not the only one. I can remember being in the courthouse. I must have been practicing a good 10 years by then, walking down the hallway and thinking, all these people are looking at me thinking I'm a lawyer, and I am a lawyer. I've been practicing it like I had everybody fooled. It's like when you get that job that you've been wanting so bad, and you're about to start your first day, and you think, oh my gosh, I can't do this job, but you can do it. You got it for a reason. Show up. You're going to kill it. You're going to be great. And it's part of the normal. I now know, because I've interviewed 100 people, actually a lot more than that, and it's just part of the process when we're going for something. But being authentic of what's going on is what gives us connection. When I first talked about the 52 Weeks of Hope project, someone said, oh, that's what my dissertation was on. When we connect through our stories, when you tell me your story and the things you've overcome, and then I start telling you mine, that's connection. And that's how we get real and we connect with each other. Spring Washam talks about this a lot, about how we get real and have compassion for each other. It's when we're our authentic self. Everyone has a message. You have a message. We all have something to learn from each other. You are unique. You have something to offer. Your story matters. And Lindsay Bruce's episode number 66, and she had such a great, succinct way of putting that we all have something to learn from each other. This is going to sound like we're all on different gradients, but she may be more advanced in certain learnings, and maybe I'm more advanced in, say, meditation, because I've been meditating longer than she has. It doesn't make me better than her in these areas. It just means I may be able to teach her and others like her in certain areas, but she could teach me in how to eat healthier, because that she's more advanced in that, and she has all these incredible recipes and ways to eat healthy, because she's more learned in those areas. To enjoy the process. There's no end game here. If you don't enjoy the process, it's really a waste. I don't know if you heard David Romanelli's episode. He also interviewed elders, much elders, and for their messages about what they gleaned from living life. These people were 120 years old, some of them. Really incredible stories and life lessons that he had gotten, and it was to have a sense of humor. And these individuals, a lot of Holocaust survivors and so on, had figured if they had lived this long, there was a reason for it, and they were going to enjoy life. But they also kept a sense of humor along the way. They saw a lot. So there's no end game here. You might as well enjoy the process, enjoy whatever it is that you're going through, and to breathe, to stop, take a breath. Joey Klein talked about the different types of breathing, the 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out, 4 breaths out. And to do that kind of pause, I was taught God is in the pause, and just to take those moments, to look for the good, to really take those breaths, look for the good, and try to enjoy. My associate's getting married this weekend, and I try not to give unsolicited advice. I really do. But I did offer up to just be quiet and ask the universe to let her enjoy her wedding. And she appreciated it, because she said most of her friends tell her that their wedding's a blur. They don't remember anything. And I remember every moment. And because that's what I did. I asked the universe just to let me be fully present and enjoy it, and to be there because I wanted to. When I compiled all the messages of hope in the episode, The Meaning of Life, the top messages are that it's community. We need each other, and it's also love and service, that we are here to love each other. So if you're really angry, throw love at whatever you're angry at. Just keep throwing love at it. And also to be of service to others, to try to give in whatever way you can. It doesn't mean throw money at stuff or something like that. It just means to help others, to whatever that is for you. I don't want to ever tell anybody else how to be of service, like feed the homeless, mentor somebody, whatever it is. There's so many ways to be of service in this world. So you don't have to go build a school in Africa, but if you're able to help do that in some way, or in impoverished areas in your city, or however it is, pick up trash. There's a lot to do. So no matter what, you'll feel better after you do it for that day. That's a guarantee. The other thing is, while you're doing that, you're not doing it in isolation. There's other people, and then you get community, and you meet other people that want to give back in this world in the same way that you are. And it gets you out of that isolation. And it gets you out.